Hi, Lise Colucci here, and we're going to get started here just talking about triggers. So, I've had a lot of people lately ask me about triggers and what to do when you're feeling triggered, and what to do to feel better and to not have to experience the triggers quite as badly and all of that. So, let's just go with it, okay? So, what is a trigger? A trigger is when something happens that reminds you of an event or a trauma or an experience that you've had that is negative in the past. And it's usually something related to something that you've had trauma about before, or you've experienced that was really highly negative, or something that has hurt you. Okay. So when we're talking about having been with a narcissist and we're talking about a trigger, we are talking about after we've left, or when they're not right around us, right? And an event in the world happens, or something happens, or you see something, or you hear something, or you even think something, and it triggers a response in you that feels way bigger than it should for the situation that's around you. Okay. So, for instance, you drive by a car that looks like their car, and you're triggered so badly that you start shaking and you start melting down and you start feeling trauma bonded and being thrown way back into the trauma. Okay. So, that would be a very extreme feeling for just seeing a car, right? But because of what you've lived through and because of the experiences you've had, it is a trigger. All right. Hello, Ray. How's it going? Um, so basically, what happens when you're triggered is because of the trauma, because our brains are now wired when you have CPTSD or PTSD from a trauma, your brain is now wired for a very fast response to the limbic system of the brain, which is responsible for the fight, flight feelings of fight, flight, freeze, fawn that we experience when we are in that triggered state. Okay. And when the limbic system is triggered, brain goes offline. Your brain is in fight, flight mode. You are not thinking with your executive function, or you're not thinking with the part of your brain that's logical, with the part of your brain that can talk itself through. You're basically not thinking, you're just reacting. There's no control you can take over it through thought. You can use your thoughts to help calm yourself down, but you can't just say, oh, it's nothing, it's not them, and then it goes away. No, your body goes straight into a response mode when the limbic system is triggered, is activated, okay? So what happens is hey, Karina, what happens is you have the trigger, you have the thing that happens, and it sends a signal to your brain. In a brain that doesn't have trauma, there's the hippocampus is there to discern, is this real danger or is this not danger? You know how you may see something that gives you a startle and it's not like a big deal, it's something new that isn't registered when your brain is scary yet, but it is registered as like, whoa, what is that? And you'll have something new happen that isn't related to a trigger, say, and you'll go, ah, and you'll have a startle, and then it takes like a few seconds and then you're calm again. And you think, why can't I do that when I see the stupid car that isn't even their car, right? Well, what happens when you're traumatized is that part of the brain, the hippocampus, atrophies. It has damage to it where that part of the brain that is telling the other part of your brain, which is your amygdala, hey, it's all right. It wasn't really the thing. It's okay. It's not a big deal. Or, heck, get out of here. Go, fire. Get us out of here, right? So that part is atrophied. It isn't working right. With it being atrophied, the trigger response goes straight to the amygdala. The amygdala is responsible for the fight, flight, freeze, fawn reaction, okay? We're also conditioned from narcissists to have quick reaction times to stimulus that is negative. So we're pretty much conditioned to be in this triggered state. Can you see what I'm saying here? And that it isn't something you can control by just getting over it, by just, thinking your way through it. There's nothing wrong with you. This is normal for having lived through what you lived through and having lived with any kind of emotional stress like you've been under, okay? Ray's saying it seems like everything's a trigger. Yeah. Been fight, flight for 10 months. It's hard, right? Okay, so let's talk about some things we can do about it and that we understand it a little bit. And I'm talking really fast because I got to keep this short before a horde of kids comes busting through the door. Okay. So basically, what can you do about it? What can you do? What can you do? People are telling me all the time lately, what do I do? I understand what's happening, but what do I do? So number one is understand what's happening in the moment. You're going to have it happen. So say, I'm just going to keep using that same car example because that happens to people often. Your car, or drive by a corner that somewhere you used to be with the person or whatever. So the thing happens. You have the trigger. You go into the whatever happens to you. Tell yourself, okay, I'm in a trigger right now. I understand that I'm not thinking. I understand. I'm just going to have to, you're going to have to ride it through. I'm going to have to ride this trigger through. Okay, it's happened. Take a breath. All right, take a deep breath. Let yourself be in the trigger for just a second. Don't try to talk yourself out of it. The number one thing that makes it worse when you have anxiety, when you have triggers that then create anxiety, is worrying about the anxiety itself. You know what I'm saying? Like you get anxious about the anxiety, about the fact that the anxiety is never going to stop, and how uncomfortable it is, and how much you hate it, and how you don't want to have this. And then your brain is literally feeding back into the limbic system that something is wrong. So you got to calm that thinking down, and you can control that a little bit by just saying, okay, I understand what's happening. I'm triggered. I understand what's happening. I'm triggered right now. It does work. I've done this. Like I have a major thing with bridges, and it's the only way I can get over them is I have to go, okay, I'm triggered right now. This sucks, but that's okay. And then just, do it anyway for that case, if I have to, right? So let's just say triggers. We're not going to fight it. Okay. We're going to realize we're in it, and we're going to realize that that fighting it is useless. Okay. It's not going to do anything except ramp us up even more. So at that point, take some calming breaths. You know you're in it. You know what's happening. Now, if you don't know what's happening, you get familiar with what your triggers are and understanding what your triggers are. And that can be helped through either a self-observation or having a couple coaching sessions or going to a therapist, just talking to someone that can help talk you through to find out what your triggers are and how you react to them. So I'm going to assume that we know what our triggers are going forward with this. And if we don't, then then please find some resources to help yourself figure out what your triggers are and how your personal reaction to that trigger is. So like, does it affect your body? Where does it affect your body? How does it affect your thoughts? What happens when you're triggered? Just start to learn this about yourself so that you can find ways, because everybody's going to have a different calming tool, right? We're all different and we all respond differently to things. So some of these suggestions may be useless for some people and totally helpful for others. And hopefully there's enough variety in here to at least have one little thing for everybody. Okay. Whoops. So grounding techniques are important. All right. When you're triggered, you're just way out of your body, right? You're dissociated, you're detached from everything. You're floating around the room. You're freaking out. You're crying. You're whatever. You're sweating. You're shaking, right? Grounding techniques. We have to stay in our bodies even though it's uncomfortable. When we're triggered, it's so uncomfortable to be in your body, right? And we're just, So you got to stay in your body because the root of calming is in the body. The body helps us process all of this trauma, and the body can help you calm. So bring it down into your belly, bring it down into your feet. Feel your feet just filling with sand or something warm, something heavy, something pleasant. Bring it down. Bring your breathing down into your belly. Breathe deeply and slowly into your belly. 3 or 4 times even. Just bring it down. Don't worry about what's going on up here, because what's going on up here is attached right now to the limbic system. That limbic system is not going to let you hurt yourself, right? It's not going to let the danger get you. It's going to run. It's going to fight. It's going to flight. It's going to do all the things. So don't worry about what's happening in your head. Calm yourself into your body. Breathe deeply into your belly. Grounding. Just think, I'm grounding myself right now. That's it. Simple. Okay. As you're breathing. So about a week ago or so, I posted a video, quick tip, quick fix for, I think it's called Quick Fix. I can try to link it, but go back and look a few videos back. It's short, 5 minutes long, and it's a very short description of how to use one breathing technique with a little bit of guided imagery to help you kind of figure out for yourself how to create an on-the-spot trigger fix, okay? That one uses a 4-cycle breath. So we'll just say it again here. Breathe in 4, hold your breath 4, exhale 4. Do that a few times, and then use some guided imagery to help yourself if you need to. Go back and watch that one. It has a bit of that in there. I'm also going to be doing a meditation soon I'm not sure if I'm going to post it here or on Insight Timer. We'll figure it out, or maybe both. So watch for that, and hopefully that'll help you later on too. Okay, so breathing, grounding. Remember that you need to root back into your body. You need to stay anchored in your body. The trigger is just going to keep the reaction to the trigger is going to keep happening. Okay. And tell yourself it's normal to have triggers when you've had trauma. It really is. Okay. They will stop being so frequent. They will stop being so intense eventually, hopefully. If you've had a lot of serious trauma, that may not be the case. And so learning to cope and learning to like move through them can be really part of your day and really part of how you live your life, which is a form of self-care. Okay. Learning how to do this. So, okay. Slowly breathing. I'm going to read here. Orient yourself to the surroundings. So you've got your breathing going. You're like, okay. And you're still shaking. You still feel crappy. You still are all over the place, right? Start looking around where you're at. Oh, there's some green trees and there's some, orient yourself to what is physically around you right now. Be in the moment, be present to what is just what's around you. Okay. As you're doing that, just kind of feel your feet on the ground. Feel your hands dangling on the ends of your arms. Okay. Feel your body, feel yourself in your body. It's the same with any kind of anxiety. Like as I'm sitting here right now and I'm talking on video live to people, I'm always coming back to this because as an introvert and a survivor, it's always like, live camera, right? But okay, you can, so this isn't, what I'm saying is this isn't stuff that I haven't done myself. So I'm trying to help with ideas for things maybe you haven't thought of, or maybe you have, but just hearing them differently might help. Okay. So, so slowing your thinking by getting into your senses. You can, if you're outside, you can smell the air like this. The air right now is amazing. The trees smell so good, and the flowers, and you can use your sense of touch. If you're outside, again, feel the wind. If you're inside, put your hand on your legs and feel the fabric on your pants or your dress or whatever you're wearing. Notice the way, again, using your eyes to see things. Notice color, notice texture, use your senses, all of them anything you can think of. If you've got a stick of gum, pop it in your mouth. Use your senses to get your brain off of the thing that's been triggering you so that you're not creating that feedback loop with the trigger itself. Does that make sense? So you're coming back into the moment, the reality. The thing about a trigger versus re-traumatization is a trigger is something that reminds you of what happened, reminds you of something bad that's happened to you, reminds you of the past. A re-traumatization is an actual event with a person that has hurt you, with someone that is currently hurting you. So say you've had a narcissist gaslighting you, and then suddenly someone new gaslights you, that might re-traumatize you. You'll feel the same way. You'll feel that reaction that feels like a trigger, but that's a little different and it's a little more intense to deal with. So we're talking right now about triggers. You can apply all of this to re-traumatization too, but know that re-traumatization might be a little harder to recover from. So that's why we say no contact, please. No contact for you, not no contact because you're trying to punish anyone else. No contact for you is important because you're not re-traumatizing yourself over and over again by exposing yourself to the poison that was in your life. Okay. Another thing you can do to override the ruminating thinking is change the scenery. So say you're sitting in your living room and you hear a song that reminds you of the thing, or you look around the room and you see something and it triggers a memory, it triggers a thought. You go into a trigger reaction. Get up, look out the window, get up, change rooms. If you're whatever you're doing, you see what I'm saying? Just change the scenery a little bit so that your brain isn't doing, again, the feedback loop on the thing that triggered you. Give yourself a break from it. Let's see, slow, deep breathing. You can try mantras like I'm safe, I'm here, I'm home, there's nothing getting me, I'm okay. You can try repeating something that's calming and soothing to you. That whatever that is will be individual and personal that works for you, right? I can't give you that unless you need it. Then if we were talking one-on-one, I could help you. But being that I don't know who I'm talking to here, you'll know what works for you, right? Okay, so You can try visualizations, such as when you're in the height of a trigger and you are just fully in fight flight. Close your eyes a second, take a breath, and picture the tides coming in. And that's where you're at right now. You're at high tide. And now imagine that tide receding. And with each breath, let it recede a little farther back, a little farther back, and a little farther back. And just close your eyes for a second and watch the tide, watch the waves move back. Okay, because that's really what's happening emotionally. You're overwhelmed with emotion, and then the emotions recede. And it takes a little bit for them to get back. You don't get high tide and then low tide, and then high tide and low tide. You have the slow easing of the tide back. Just picture that and see if that helps you. So visualizations, or whatever visualization helps you. You can picture a balloon floating away. There's all kinds of things. So people who are visualizers, that might help them. Got a couple more, and then I'm going to have to head out real quick here. So literally shake it off. It makes you shaky. Go ahead. It's okay. It's okay. Honestly, people think that, oh my gosh, everyone can see me shaking, and then they worry about what other people think. Most people, if they see someone shaking, they probably think they're hungry. They think they're scared, which who cares if someone thinks you're a little scared, right? They're like, oh, something must have happened to them. Most people aren't going to look at you like, oh, that crazy person's shaking, because really it's not like crazy shaking. It's trembling, right? And most people, it's in the hands usually. So when you try and talk, it's in your voice. Most people don't notice it. All right. So don't worry about other people. And sometimes shaking it off like a little bird hitting a window, and then it gets stunned and it sits there frozen, and then it shakes it off, and then it flies away just fine. That shaking is actually a release of the trauma. So let it for a few seconds. Just let it be there. Take a breath. Know that it's part of the process. You're okay. Don't feed it by worrying about the shaking. Does that make sense? I have I think that's about it for right now with this. A couple more things that I want to add though. Afterward, okay, so if anyone has anything that they want to add to this, please hit me up in the comments and make a list of things that help you with triggers, because it really does help people that watch these videos. They do read the comments, and they do learn from it and learn and help one another, right? So if you have anything that's helped you through triggers, please, please, please add it to the comments. And also, after it's over, all done, okay, I'm finally feeling better. You're probably going to feel tired because it was a big adrenaline rush. Probably going to feel like you wasted part of your day on this horrible thing, this trigger, and you're worried about the next trigger. Just reflect on it. Reflect on what happened, what that trigger was about, what did I experience. If you can reflect on it and become more self-aware, you can help yourself learn what it is that will help you make it through the next trigger. Does that make sense? And there are a lot in the beginning for people. And as Ray was saying, it's every day for the last 10 months, or it's, not every day, they didn't say, but it's for the last 10 months often. So if you can figure out the things that cause the trigger, if you can talk about it with someone, if you can talk about your trauma with someone, if you can figure out what it is for you that's making that trauma so intensely close to your everyday life, does that make sense, to not being able to move forward, then get with someone to talk, get coaching, get therapy, whatever you need to help you move through it. Again, I'll just say, check out in the links, because there is links to a lower cost coaching, which is the group coaching. And if you need it, it's there. It's putting it out there. Okay. So what did I say here? Another thing you can do when you are recovered from the trigger is realize it didn't hurt you. It wasn't you weren't re-traumatized. You weren't being attacked. It wasn't the person. It was, you know what I mean? Realize the reality of the situation and that it was a trigger. And so you know that you actually are safe. You are okay. Again, re-traumatization is different, so we'll talk about that another time. But if it was more on the lines of just a trigger, which I know just a trigger they're horrible. So okay, if you've been newly discarded or newly separated or newly apart from the person, no contact if possible, low contact if you can't. avoid things for a little while that cause a trigger. Now, we can't do that forever. Can't avoid the world, right? But for a little while, you need to get your nervous system, your emotions, and all of that sort of comforted and feeling better before you re-enter into things that cause triggers. It's a brave world to be out there with all those triggers, okay? And you can do this. If you don't fear them and you don't engage with them by fighting it, it can tend to make them less huge, right? And it can tend to speed the recovery of them and speed the reaction time, slow it down or shorten it. That's what I'm trying to say. Okay, so that's it for now. Again, I'm Lise Colucci over at Queen Being. And if you need anything, check out everything in the description. It's all there. Hit subscribe, thumbs up, all that good stuff. And I'll see you guys later. Take care. Bye.